I first met Sarah at the Temple of Peace in Haiku, Maui. The beauty of her spirit came shining through as she revealed to the congregation that she has stage 4 brain cancer and not much time left. At 48, Sarah said she was profoundly grateful for her golden ticket incarnation. When Sarah invited me to chronicle her journey to the very end, I began immediately, honored and humbled by her courage and her willingness to share herself so fully.
It is March 1st, 2020. I'm Sarah Taylor, and today I'm feeling grateful, which is the main feeling I have every day. And the way I'm so grateful is because I stay present as much as I can. You know, whether it's raining or sunny or, you know, the IRS is called for something or whatever, I can always see a positive side to it. And when you think, wow, the IRS wants some information, what a pain. No, like, thankfully we had money that they even want taxes from us. So, whatever's going on in life, I think there's always some good things to look at. And as long as we are looking at the bright things, we become very, very grateful. And it's really hard to be in a situation like mine and be upset, even though it sounds scary. I'm so grateful for this life. A common question I get is, wow, like, what have you learned from this diagnosis of brain cancer? And I know this answer will probably make a lot of people roll their eyes, but honestly, I don't feel like I've learned much from the diagnosis, because I feel like I've learned an incredible amount before the diagnosis. And that's what I'm so grateful for. I think it's why I'm handling it so well, is because I've spent years, reading books from all different kinds of religions and spiritual teachers and things like that. I'm really sitting with myself and questioning, what do I believe, and where are we? What's this earth? What's this universe? Everything else. And when I really stopped taking in whatever I was taught as a kid and started really asking myself what I believe and researching other people's ideas, and do we go to heaven or hell, or are we reincarnated, or is there something else? Do we go nowhere? Started coming up with my own beliefs. Then I just started feeling so confident with where we are. And of course it's a belief, so the word belief means it's not necessarily a fact. So I could be very wrong, but I feel really good about what I believe. And so when I got this diagnosis, it was like, okay, here it is. And one of the things I know, and we all know, but a lot of us deny, is that we are all going to die. And so the fact that that might be happening to me a lot earlier than the average person, it's okay. It's okay. And that comes from all the studying I've done and all the beliefs I've come up with.
Soon I was invited to a gathering at Sarah's home in beautiful upcountry Maui. We all circled up with her and her husband, Mark.
I'm happy it'll all be fixed.
Okay.
Sarah, and I really feel like what's so important to me right now is just staying right here in the present moment. Like today I was at Temple of Peace. We're catching eye contact with people and just so happy. And we're from Makawao, and somebody's playing some African instrument, and I'm just like listening, like, wow, it's amazing. We're singing kirtan yesterday, Barry and I, and it's like I'm literally singing kirtan, normal kirtan, everything's great, and I'm looking out the window thinking, if there's anything else I could do in the world right now and it didn't cost me a dime, what would I do? This is it right here. And the more I see right in that place, the happier life is all the time. So I'm just like, I feel like I'm drunk with happiness all the time. Yay! Yay! Good choice.
Sarah has pursued many healing paths, along with traditional medicine. As a medical researcher for 20 years, She knows what to expect with her cancer diagnosis. Despite that, her total acceptance and high spirits continue. Here's what she had to say after a session with Bella and her singing bowls.
What is here for a reason. And just because we don't know the reason doesn't need us to change anything. Right?
Yeah. And I'm so open to whatever does come. Even things that most people would say sound scary or wrong, or no, we don't want you to die, whatever's coming, we have no idea if it's what it's gonna be like and what will be coming next. And I'm just so open to everything. Yeah.
When Sarah came to my home for a visit, I asked her for a report.
Today is March 22nd, and today I'm feeling intrigued. Our whole world is going through this issue with the coronavirus, and I have no idea, what it's going to be like over time and how it's going to affect people. And I can see that there could be some really amazing, great things that are coming from it. And people will be going through a lot of difficulties as well, but I'm really curious to see where it goes, and I'm open to that. Even though I'm diagnosed with brain cancer, it doesn't scare me. And the death that could very well come from it doesn't scare me. It doesn't mean that I'm not believing that I'll die. I believe that maybe I'll be lucky and be one of the random rare people that lives through it. That could happen, but realistically, it's such a small percentage, and so it's very easy that I could die from it, and I'm okay. Any way it goes. And so with this coronavirus, I thought, well, gosh, you never know. Like, that could be a good thing if I got that too, because maybe that would just take me a little bit early so I don't go through weeks or months of pain or whatever else might happen. I don't know. But it's all life, And I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned by researching and looking at spirituality. Like, what do I believe? And everyone can believe their own thing. I don't need to tell people what I believe in, because I don't want them to feel like they have to believe what I believe. But when you really learn to believe for yourself what you believe and why, especially in some kind of a spiritual perspective, it doesn't mean that you even have to agree that there's a God. But if you've thought it through and you've come up with your own ideas and your own beliefs, then when this kind of thing happens with coronavirus, you feel like you have answers. And I think if you do believe that there could be a God, or there's some kind of positive thing that happens when you die, or maybe you'll be reincarnated again and get to come back, or whatever it is you end up believing, there are a lot of things that can leave you feeling quite okay and quite happy with all of it. And I feel like that's where I am.
I asked Sarah to pull a card from the Osho Tarot deck. It was no surprise that the card was change. So change, what did that mean to you, Sarah?
It was really interesting to hear all of that, because one of the things I have found as I have just gone on with life, and this really started when I got into my spirituality in a more deep way. I started to recognize that we have beliefs that are often not true. So we might think, wow, I got more money from my job, yay! But maybe getting more money actually put a different opinion about what you need to be a great person. Maybe you need a faster car or a bigger house. Maybe it's actually not a good thing, but you thought it was. So I've found over the years that change is something that I've learned to be very open to, no matter what it looks like. And there's a great Buddhist, I can't remember the word I'm looking for, but story where, I can't remember how the whole thing goes, but it's a guy whose son was...
I know that one. So I think it's a Buddhist parable, is that right?
Yes.
About the man who loses his son? Or
Yes.
Oh, the son breaks his leg.
Yes, so my memory, and I could have it wrong, but this man has a son who's young, and he breaks his leg. And all of the people in the town say, oh, I'm so sorry, that's terrible, it's horrible. And he says, well, we'll wait and see.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
Maybe yes, maybe no. And then all of a sudden that next week, a big war started, and all the young boys his age had to go out and risk their lives and fight the people against them. But he couldn't go because he had broken his leg. So he got to stay home. And everybody said, oh, that's great, that's fantastic, he's safe, he won't have to put his life on the line. And he said, well, maybe. We'll wait and see. And this story goes on and on. There's many, many examples, but it's just like that where everybody goes, oh, that's great. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's terrible. And the father says every time, we'll see. We don't know. And that's one of the things I've really learned in life. It's so true. You know, people were like that when they said, hey, I've got this brain cancer. And they're, oh, no, that's one of the worst things you can have. And I say, maybe, maybe not. We'll wait and see.
Wow.
And what makes it worse or better may or may not be life. You know, it could be that I do die, but that's still a great thing. Like, we don't know.
What helps Sarah stay present are long beach walks, enjoying the beauty of the blue Pacific, and a deep connection to nature, especially leaves.
I have been such a fan of leaves for maybe, I don't know, the past 3 to 5 years, where I just got into a position where I was sitting with this leaf and looking at it, and this is like true of almost every leaf now, but you look at these, and not only when you look at them closely are they so beautiful, but then when you learn about leaves and the fact that they're, you know, creating oxygen and things that keep us alive and, you know, keep this world going. Literally, if there were no more trees or no more leaves, we wouldn't be able to be alive. Absolutely. So when I think about that intellectually, and then I also look at the beauty of the leaves, I can just sit here in absolute stunning, you know, a stunning situation where I'm like, wow, this is incredible.
No one can face this difficult challenge alone. Sarah's husband, Mark, has been her loving and steady companion, holding her hand throughout this long walk as she bravely continues her journey to the light.
Today is April 15th, and today I'm feeling tired. I've got to change my diet for some treatment that's about ready to start, and so I hardly ate anything yesterday, and today I can't eat anything, and so I'm very hungry and I'm tired, and yeah, just tired.
What are you going to do for yourself today?
I'm going to take a nap when I get home, which I've done. In fact, I'll tell you I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but the most influential day that I slept was 5 hours of naps, 3 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. So I don't think I'll beat that today, but I am going to take a good nap.
A vegan for 17 years, Sarah says she would rather save the animals than eat them, even if including meat in her diet would potentially save her own life.
I'm a vegan, and I'm vegan for ethical reasons, because the way animals are treated, you know, in the health industry is so bad. I mean, it's really, really bad. And I've been vegan for 17 years for that reason. So the question became, look, you know, you can do a vegan keto diet, and I did that for about 5 or 6 weeks in my early treatment, but there's very little to eat that's both vegan and keto. They're like on totally opposite ends of the spectrum. And so I sat down with my husband and we had a long talk about this, and the question was, okay, well, a vegan keto diet is something you just can't do for too long. There's just so little to eat. And then the question became, well, do you want to go on a keto diet and eat some animal products to get that back, get some life back, hopefully, and maybe years, you never know. And I thought long and hard about it. And honestly, I have seen many videos and read many books about what's happening in those in those animal, places where they're being, killed for food. Even the ones that say that they're organic and they say that they're, I can't remember the other word I'm looking for, but everyone's treated well, and that is extremely rare. So I just sat there and talked to my husband about it for a long time. Like, am I willing to eat those things if it's going to save my life? And I sat and thought about it, and I thought, I'm not willing to do that. I would literally rather give up my life than take the lives of lots of animals. I just don't think it's fair.
The next time I saw Sarah, she came to my home in Maui Meadows, and I asked my partner Max to do the camera work. And so what has given you the courage to march through this the way you have?
Yeah, it's a good question, because from the moment I was diagnosed, I said, okay, to the doctor, and he's like, well, Sarah, do you understand what I just said? Oh yeah, I've worked in medical research all these years. Life is going to be very short, most likely. And he said, oh yeah, well, very short. And I said, okay. And so a lot of people thought, well, you're just kind of not wanting to see how bad it is and you're hiding it. A month from now, it's going to come out.
You're in denial.
You're in denial, exactly. And really I wasn't. I've been fine. It's been 7 months almost, and I'm totally fine with it. And the reason I believe is that it started about 10 years ago. About 20 years ago, I had started reading all these books on religions and spirituality, because I'd been brought up Christian, but really had a lot of questions about it and wasn't sure what I believed. And so I started reading all these different books of different kinds. And after about 10 years, Mark and I got our place here on Maui. And that's when people who really had great spirituality were saying to me, you don't just read a book and shut it and read the next book and shut it. You need to start stopping and meditating and thinking. And I had all of these opportunities to stop and think about spirituality.
It wasn't just something you read, but you really owned it. And you're living from that place of acceptance and amazing courage.
Oh, thank you.
How about the fear factor? That's people's greatest fear is death.
So I think this is why it's so important, is that, what I ended up believing after all of those years is really not important to people who are listening, because everybody can have their own beliefs. But for me, the beliefs included a lot of different things, not just who's in charge, who's God, but also, do we reincarnate? That's a big question. And what do you believe about all these different ways, if there's a God, if there's a reincarnation, all these things. And when I started to really feel like I understood and have my own beliefs, I felt totally fine with it.
Yeah.
So when the doctor said, hey, this does not look good at all, I said, okay.
Yeah.
I've had at that point, 47 years, now I'm 48. And I thought, I've had 47 incredible years, and I can't be upset about that.
Wow. So inspiring.
Thank you.
I heard Sarah speak at the Temple of Peace in Haiku, Hawaii, and you were sharing your journey there. And I realized I had to interview you on Gutsy Women Radio, and that's how I kind of fell in love with your spirit.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think we often believe, well, if you're not Christian, you go to hell. And there's a heaven for the rest of eternity, and there's a hell for the rest of eternity.
I know that one.
Yeah, and that can be a really scary thing. And I had this idea, everybody has their idea about heaven, but my mom knows I love animals, so I couldn't wait to go to heaven, because I would, ride a lion and have a kitten in my arm and a puppy in my other arm. I had the whole view. But when I really started looking into it, what I started feeling was, I'm feeling different from what I was taught growing up. And we can all believe different things. I'm not telling anyone they should believe what I believe, but I can tell you just a few things that I again, you don't need to, but I started believing was, and because I'm a researcher, there's actually some incredible research on reincarnation.
Oh, a lot of it, yeah.
It's shocking. And me being a researcher at a really good place, we know how to look for poor research that's not done well. And this was, it's not an easy thing to do, I'll tell you that. But as far as how difficult that topic is, they've done an incredible job. And I just thought, wow, I'm convinced.
So that made the difference in you feeling that you had an eternal life.
Yep. We're going to keep coming back. That's
Yeah.
what I believe. And so I'm okay with that. And I've actually had some interesting research where they say you often come back with people that you were here with before. And I think, isn't that great? You know, I mean, who knows if it's true? I could come back as a tree outside, or I could come back as a puppy next door. I don't know. But from what I can tell from the research, it really does look like you do tend to come back as another human. Most people do it anyway, as far as we can tell. And you can come back with the same people.
Do you see yourself as more than just a physical body?
I see all of us as more than physical bodies, and that's the science side of me, because I worked in medical research for so many years. I came up with a totally different idea of who we are and how we're here. And one thing I will add is, if you happen to be lucky enough to have a life like mine, what I mean by that is I call it a gold ticket incarnation. It doesn't mean I haven't had any issues, but there are people who have had some really rough issues. You know, really difficult lives. And you see this especially in poor countries around the world. But boy, you know, I had parents who loved me. They were not rich, but we were safe in our neighborhood. I could play all night out while it was dark out in the summer with my neighborhood friends. I could go to college. I could pick something I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
This is things that many people do not have the ability to do, or some of it they don't. Or maybe, you know, they had a family member who raped them, or they had no money and they were all, you know, almost dying. You know, there can be so many things going on, and if you didn't have to deal with that, if you had a life that was relatively easy that way, like every day, notice how grateful you are, because I think it's the gratitude that really makes us sit there and say, wow, you know, things could have been so different.
Yeah.
And here I've lived a really, really good life.
Sarah has many great friends who know and love her, both on Maui and in the mainland. Prema Love and Barry Saltinoff are two of them, whose words reflect the sentiments of us all.
She's such a beautiful, loving being, and I consider her one of my closest, dearest friends. I absolutely adore her from the moment that I met her here at Leilani Farm Sanctuary. She's been such a generous friend in my life, and such a great listener, and just really there for me. And I just always treasure our time together whenever she comes and visits Maui, and she's just pure love and light.
I've had the wonderful pleasure of knowing Sarah Taylor for 10 years, and she's a most remarkable woman. She's a very easy person to be with, very loving, very naturally kind to all animals, including humans, and someone who, over the recent years that I've known her, has chosen a spiritual path. I think she's made a shift in direction, at least a shift in emphasis, and that direction has taken her deeper and deeper into herself and into her, what I would call her soul realm. And so in interacting with Sarah, one can really be soul to soul.
Saying how divine it is that Sarah's going through this. I feel like God, like divine, knows exactly what he's doing by having Sarah go through this and be that example for us during this time that's so powerful on the planet, and representing what's possible, how we can, you know, handle anything that comes our way. And
She's the rock star.
Sarah is such a rock star. She's such an inspiration, and I just love her dearly.
I'm a medical doctor, and I've never in my life been around anyone who's handled the prospect of dying soon with more grace. She has incredible, tenacious natural grace. I've never seen her fall off it. Anyone as positive as Sarah is, it would be remarkable. But the fact that she has a diagnosis and that her time with us might only be months. Nobody knows for sure, but she has a very serious diagnosis. The ease and the grace with which she's navigating this time is absolutely remarkable. I've never seen anything like it, and I feel inspired by it because I'm an older guy, and I'll be facing my own death in months or years or however long that is. And I feel less afraid of dying from being around Sarah.
So today's April 24th, and we are at Sugar Beach, which is beautiful. And what I'm feeling today is different, but it's not as upsetting as I think most people would think it would be. And that is that in addition to losing words right now, which I don't forget what I'm trying to say, I just forget, like, what's that word? What do you call the word for blah, blah, blah? And someone will hopefully get the answer for me. But now often I'll forget what I was talking about. So, you know, I'll be in the middle of a story, just like right now, and then I'll say, I'm sorry, what was I talking about? And depending on how the person replies, I may or may not remember the rest of it. So sometimes I have to say, I can't think about it. I'm sorry, I can't remember. And so I think for a lot of people, they'd be terrified. Oh my God, I'm getting closer and closer to death. And oh my God, this is the first time this has happened. I mean, I used to lose words and that's been getting worse, but now I'm losing the whole environment of what I was talking about. And I see that's okay. You know, it's okay. It's part of what's going on, and maybe it'll get better, but maybe this is just how death is slowly making its way here. And, you know, is it my choice? Would I like it to keep happening? No, just because if I've got something to say, I want to say it. And I did hear from somebody who heard one of my lectures on a pretty big website, and she said her brother has the same diagnosis, and her brother's in a position now where he's generally kind of hanging at home and just staying quiet and not really talking because of exactly what I just said. Like he forgets what he's going to say, forgets words, and it's happening so much now that he generally just kind of mostly sits there and doesn't say much. And I think, that would be tough. I would really want to say what I want to say, but maybe this is a chance. This is maybe God saying, hey, this is where you really learn to get quiet. This is where you learn to notice what's happening. Look around you, you know, be like, wow, look at that bird. I didn't even know we had those birds here. You know, whatever it is you need to learn. And so I'm totally open to see what happens. We'll see.
I am with my beautiful friend Sarah Taylor, and it is May, I think it's the 15th today, 2020. And Sarah, you are just about to get on a plane on Monday and go home to see your parents.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe even for the last time, who knows?
Yeah.
So how are you feeling as you pack up on Maui and head on out?
Yeah. I'm feeling both ways about that. I love Maui, and so the idea of leaving it is really a bummer, because even though we're all stuck in this coronavirus, law where you can't do a lot of things, I'd rather be in that position in Hawaii than anywhere else, because at least we can go walk on these beautiful beaches and everything. So, and we can run into great friends all over the place because it's a small town and all that. So, such a happy place for me. On the other hand, my parents are back in Gig Harbor, Washington, and my sister's going to come visit for a whole week. And so I'm really, really happy about that. And I'm also feeling really grateful because I have a doctor in Seattle who's really, an incredible neuro-oncologist. And so I just feel really grateful to be able to go see him and get his opinion. And, I can tell that things have changed in my abilities and my brain. And so, there's a decent chance that the news is going to say, oh yeah, things are progressing quickly in your brain and here's what's happening. I don't know that that's true. We'll have to wait and see, but it wouldn't surprise me. And so should that happen, I'm just really glad to have such a good doctor.
Sarah, what has changed for you since your diagnosis last November, I guess it was, November 2019?
Yeah. It's interesting because very little's changed. But in general, I just had this huge understanding recently that just came to me. It's almost like I had a bad dream about it or something. And the dream was basically, hey, time is short. This is your chance to go make a difference in this arena. Not like not like any of us haven't ever made a change in life or change for other people, help for other people. But this time I realized, like, wow,
there's something I can say, things I can do, people I can help. And I need to get out of the house, even though we've been told, you shouldn't be coming out of the house unless you need to go to the grocery store or the hospital. And I'm like, no, that's not how I'm feeling right now. I feel like I need to help people. So that's one of the things I've really been concentrating on the last couple of days is who can I help? Yeah, when I was 8 years old, nothing big was going on in my life. It's not like somebody had died or even a dog or a cat had died or anything like that. But I was just out one day just playing around, and all of a sudden I had this belief that just was sent to me or something. I don't know how to describe it, and who knows, it could be wrong. But I had this piece of information that was downloaded to me that said, you're going to die young. And I remember that so well at the moment, and it didn't scare me. It didn't freak me out at all. I just kind of went, okay. And I was curious, like, I wonder what young is. I wonder if young is this year, or if it's when I'm 10 or 15 or 25 or 35. I didn't know. Now I'm 48, and I can tell you back then I would have thought that was old. But nowadays it's in the middle. So yeah, that was really interesting. And I think the most interesting thing to me that I'm really grateful for was that it wasn't scary for whatever reason. I think for most people that would be quite scary. So I'm really grateful for that.
What would you like to say to people out there who've had a terminal diagnosis? What wisdom can you give them, just in a minute or two?
I think I would have two pieces of wisdom that just come to mind quickly. And the first piece of wisdom is you don't know. Even when they say, oh, well, you've got this diagnosis and you're likely to be dead very, very soon, you might not be. You might be able to live right through it. So don't give in. But on the other hand, my other point is be open. Be open to what the world's bringing, because it could be that it's time for you to go, and that's okay. This is what I believe, is that we all have these huge fears about what's coming, and we have no reason to be afraid because we don't know what's coming. So when you don't know, it could be that what's coming is so incredible and wonderful and amazing that once we come and go through death, we might be on the other side laughing with everybody going, oh my gosh, I had no idea, I was so terrified. So we really don't know. So it's one of those things, I think, that when we think too much into, oh my God, things could be terrible. You could do that every day. Oh my gosh, I just got a new boss. I don't like this at all. I liked my old boss. Who knows? Your new boss may be even better. We don't know. So just in life, don't let yourself get worried and fearful about what could be coming. Wait and see what does come.
Be here now, accept what is.
Be here now.
After some relaxing beach time in Kihei, Sarah said goodbye to Maui and the beautiful blue Pacific, and returned with Mark to her other home in Giggs Harbor, Washington. As her symptoms worsened, Sarah contemplated surgery, which would give her a little more time, but not cure the type of brain cancer she has. And then on June 12th, Sarah went ahead, encouraged by her family, to have the surgery, and now she's recovering nicely at home on the mainland. True to form, Sarah's spirits are intact, while her natural beauty and bright smile remain with us.